Okay, let's have a look at how um, RLT helps men. So, RLT is a really compassionate, powerful invitation that helps men to get out of the box that patriarchy has forced men into, allowing and enabling them to lead a fuller, freer, more connected life that doesn't shame men for who they are. It doesn't make them wrong and tell them the whole of patriarchy is all their fault. It champions men while also loving them to honor the parts of them that keep them stuck, alone, and in cycles of disconnection. So let's break this down and look at how we do this in RLT. We first look at the cost of patriarchy. Terry Real says patriarchy is a form of child abuse because men are conditioned from a young age to disconnect from the vulnerability, tenderness, and emotional expression. They're taught to just perform. I'm strong and I have got no needs. And who needs girls? Blah. Um, which kills any level of intimacy or care. And this RLT, what has blown me away is by the depth of immense compassion that RLT brings to men in this huge struggle. Um, and it's just so deeply sad that the survival strategy for men was disconnection, because that survival strategy is now causing deep suffering to men. And what we help folk to do is to see that this cultural inheritance of patriarchy is disconnection. And we just gently invite and create a bridge into deeper intimacy. Part of how we do this is to make the invisible visible. So we shine light into how patriarchy has impacted people. So many men might come because therapy is not working. Often, I'm not getting enough sex, or my partner's threatening to leave, which is such a common thing because they have just learned to focus on providing and protecting, and they struggle with any emotional relating, so get walled off and then are stunned when women say, I'm done, I want a divorce. And they see their partner enraged or stuck or sad, but they don't understand why. You see so many men going, I didn't even know she wanted to leave, even though she said multiple times. But there's just men have had to deny their reality so much that it makes sense that then they deny their partner's reality because that's how they've had to survive. So what RLT does is help men understand what happened to them as a child and the defenses that they created. We call this the adaptive child strategies. And for many men, that looks like withdrawing, being walled off, being very controlling, or dismissive and contemptuous to anything that is emotional, because that's what they received. Oh, you're being such a girl, you're such a wuss, or stop being gay. All the sort of soft feminine qualities are shamed and disconnected from. So we help men to spot the ways that they have shut these parts down. And then we help them to look at how are they unconsciously holding power over others? Because that power has been, it feels for them as natural and normal and right. That grandiosity and contempt for others, how do they do that in their specific form? And how does it disconnect from the loves in their lives? And then we look at the relational dynamics that keep them lonely and in conflict. We connect the dots between all of these, not so that somebody feels blamed and shamed and wrong, but to feel empowered, because when you're aware of the dynamics, then finally you can take a breath and shift into dismantling this imposition this myth of that males are only competent and strong, where they have this performance-based identity, where men are taught that I'm only what I do and how I perform. So we really help you to see that your worth isn't just in what you provide or how you dominate or how you protect. It's in who you are. It's how you love and how you show up. And this unraveling is just so healing for guys who've never had the permission to feel or to be soft or to be held and cared for. But it opens up the discovery to deep self-love, where they take care of themselves, and then relational joy and a mutuality of how it feels to deeply care for somebody else. But these skills for a lot of men are not taught. They just, there's nothing at school or at university and at home where there was, boys will be boys, but they weren't taught how to repair, how to say sorry. These skills of intimacy are just not in their vocabulary. So RLT has a strong coaching component where we understand that this isn't something you're magically born with. Testosterone doesn't come with skills of empathy and repair. And it's not something that just women are good at. It's a learnable skill. So in RLT, we support men to learn to speak from their heart, not just from their head, not just talking down at someone. We help men to learn to listen with empathy and to, instead of fixing and finding what's wrong with what somebody is saying, and then how to repair after a rupture, so that instead of feeling criticized, they can care for what somebody else is saying. We teach them how to be relational, not just right and dominant and closed off to what other people have to say. And this is a really practical, real world, no fluff work. And it feels so good for people when they really get these skills and feel a level of connection that they've never had in their lives. For guys who are curious about Terry's work and relational life, you can listen to the book on Audible of Fierce Intimacy. And, in RLT, as therapists, we don't just sit there and nod and listen. We really get in with you, supporting you with a loving confrontation, where as we do that, we empower other people around you to be able to share with love, not with judgment. Hey, this behavior is letting you down. I know this isn't who you want to be. Hey, don't do that. Do this instead. Life will be so much easier and happier. And it just makes such a difference, where we don't, as therapists, just empathize and enable patriarchy. We aren't about coddling, and we're also not about blaming, but we step up to support you to see the truth of who you're being, so that you can grow into deep relational intimacy and thrive. Because ultimately what we want is you to have a deep sense of love for yourself, where you're not collapsing into, oh my God, what have I done? I'm such a bad person. We want to support you in seeing the harm that you've caused without collapsing in shame and spiraling in shame, where there's an expectation that other people, your wife or partner, need to then care for you, and it becomes about you. We really help you to notice stand in your own sense of self, take accountability for what your behavior, and then repair with remorse, with honesty, with humility, and then step into a more loving version of yourself, the version of you that you would have been if patriarchy hadn't existed, where you can have a deep sense of self-love and care for others, where you have accountability and grace and goodness. And there's a deep strength, but it's different. It's not the strength to dominate, but the strength to connect and hold space. You've got courage to feel your feelings and communicate your needs in a healthy way. It's not the strength to suppress emotions, but to meet them fully in yourself, in your partner, in your children, in your friends, and your colleagues. It's not the strength to be independent and go alone, but the strength to be loved and to love. It's vulnerable and can be scary. But in RLT, for many guys, this is the space that where they're truly seen. It might be the first time that they're ever truly seen in their lives, not for what they produce or what they protect, but for who they are, deeply and vulnerably. So if you're a man who is wanting support and love, it would be a delight to be able to work with you in RLT. So get in touch if you would like to do RLT together. Sending you love.